We are live at Infineon Raceway in Sonoma, California for peak pole qualifying for tomorrow's Indy Grand Prix of Sonoma. It could be a record-setting day for Will Power. He could set the all-time pole record in the year with 8 poles if he should win the pole today. However, his concern right now is moving on to the second round, because right now he is not in. He is, in fact, 11th fastest of 12, and this is one of the reasons why.
This has been where we've really seen everybody's locking up that right front. As soon as you lock that up, your brake distance lengthens and off you go through the gravel. And we've seen everybody that's challenging that corner, that's happened to him up to this point. So now he's back out.
And a lap later, he did the very same thing. And so he came into the pits. Notice he's on the blacks there. He came into the pits, changed to the reds, and he is out there right now trying to move on to round number 2. Right now, the fastest in this session is Dan Weldon. Second is Franchitti, then Dixon, Marias, Lloyd, and Tagliani. Those would be the 6 moving on if it ended right now. And we are about 3.5 minutes away from the end of this segment.
Yeah, and Power, who we're on board with right now, he's sitting in P11 right now, trying to get in.
And he wants to be easy on these red sidewalled alternates, but we have seen this is the second group. In the first group, when they put on the reds, collectively everyone was way faster than they've been on the blacks.
And yeah, one of the interesting things from that first session that was passed on to some of the other drivers is the fact that once you bolt on the alternate Firestone red tires, you've got a sweet spot of approximately 3 to 4 laps. For Will Power, he's got to make hay now to get in, or he'll be on the outside at the back of the starting field.
And Jan says he's going to do it, right?
He is. He's working a P2 lap here. Again, as we've seen him do throughout the season, he doesn't necessarily start the lap on fire, but he's about to finish one on fire, and he may go to P1.
Well, let's see. Crosses the line, and he does. He goes to P1. Alex Tagliani is knocked out of the top 6. Now on the bubble is Alex Lloyd. Let me give you briefly those who made it in the first group, round number 1. Matos, Castro Neves, Briscoe, Wilson, Ryan Hunter-Ray, and Simona Di Silvestro. Those drivers will move to round number 2.
Now, you guys, you're really not shocked that Power jumped to the top of that, are you?
No.
Yeah.
Although he did not have a particularly good practice this morning, he was 5th fastest. But then again, Simona Di Silvestro was 22nd fastest in practice, and she ended up in the transfer position.
Well, yeah, she bolted on the Firestone Firehawk alternate reds and was flying. Was over 1.5 seconds faster than she was in the practice this morning.
And Dan Weldon has had a great weekend going. He has been quick off of the trailer and was one of the early runners to go on the alternates. He's going to have to work hard to make that time pay. As you said, Robbie, the time he has now was outside of what it took to transfer, at least for the Group 1.
Yep. Here are those that are not in: Tagliani, Rahal, Muto, Andretti, Kanan, and Milcaduno. And the time is quickly ticking by. Down into turn number 5, onto the drag strip here, and coming up is one of the passing zone here as they break for turn number 7.
Down into
TK just
gear.
moved up to 2nd. Sorry, Robbie.
TK had a frustrating day yesterday. Had a fuel pump bracket that was broke, so he didn't have a lot of lap time. And I talked to him and Michael this morning, and they said, we'll be okay. They weren't happy, but we'll be okay.
So Tony Kanaan is 2nd, Power 1st, Weldon, Dixon, Tagliani, Marias is 6th. Franchitti is not in a transfer spot.
That won't take long, though. Dario has only recently put on those reds, and he has been the class of the field. I think that Dario's got something for Power here this weekend.
Tremendous elevation change here at Infineon Raceway from 14 feet above sea level to 153.
Look at that. You see TK, that's about 150 miles an hour there, where he just dropped the wheel off a little bit and put up a dust cloud for us.
Tony Kanaan flying the Dr. Pepper colors on the number 11 car this weekend here at Infineon. The last road course race of 2010 will have 4 to go after this, all on ovals. Franchitti moves up to P2. So it's Power, Franchitti, and Dixon now.
And there's an onboard with TK, and you can see as he comes over that rise and you see that puff of cloud there, you're like, is there a car there, or did somebody just drop wheels? So you definitely have that in the back of your mind as you're a driver and you're cresting over that hill and you see that cloud.
Whoa. Speaking of kicking up a cloud of dust.
Now, so if you're just coming onto that corner, you're like, is somebody spun there, or is that just some dirt?
Yep.
And what's out on the track? How committed do I want to be going through that corner, or is there some dust and dirt that's going to put me off the track?
Now, while that was happening, Tagliani goes to fourth. So he was on the outside looking in. Now he is in solidly. Marco Andretti, as we get a replay of him off the track big time. Woohoo, look out. He got it back in time just to get on the brakes.
Fastest section of the racetrack, too, where that happened. Those sweeping S's, kind of like skiing gates. If you get behind at the beginning, you don't get caught up, and off you go outside the gates.
And if you don't bring it back in time to get on the brakes for 9, then it's going to be a really big one.
All right, let's see what Marco can do. He is currently 8th. Weldon is also not in. He's 7th quick. Graham Rahal moves to 6th.
He needs to do it right now because this is the final lap.
Yep.
And he needs more. He's showing P7. You have to be P6 if you want to get in. Alex Tagliani, we mentioned, he put in a great lap 2 laps ago and should be in solidly.
There's the checkered flag.
So he concludes. Weldon.
Right.
Did he get a little wide there?
Yeah, right there.
No, he got in, though. He got
did.
to 6th.
Got to 6th. How about that?
So now it comes down to Marco, who also has shown 6th.
Graham Rahal is knocked out.
But Marco did not do it.
Nope.
Nope.
Marco had good splits going, but in that final corner, lost just.
How about Weldon coming through that? I mean, you said earlier that he's had a great weekend and just throwing it down right there on that last lap. Great job for the National Guard team.
So Will Power is in P number 1. Dario Franchitti, Scott Dixon, Alex Tagliani, Tony Kanaan, and Dan Weldon are those who transfer. Let's take a look at highlights from group number 1, round 1.
And Simona De Silvestro was the first challenger to go on the alternates, the red sidewalls, and she went right to the top of the charts. She was only 22nd in practice, went 1.6 seconds faster on those reds. Shortly thereafter, Ryan Hunter-Reay put himself to the top of the charts, but it didn't take long for him to be knocked off the top of the perch by one Helio Castro Neves. He's the only driver in that group to get down into the 16-second range. Justin Wilson was on the outside looking in, and just like we saw Dan Weldon do, he had to put it together at the very waning moments and swung wide, just like we saw Weldon. Justin Wilson, on the very last lap, gets himself into a transfer spot.
And once again, here are those who advance to round number 2 from group number 1. Elio, Ryan Hunter-Reay, Wilson, De Silvestro, Briscoe, and Rafa Matos was 6th fastest. In group number 2, round 1, Power, Franchitti, Dixon, Tagliani, Kanaan, and Dan Weldon. Those 12 drivers will go to round number 2. Will Power, will he set the record this weekend with 8 poles in a season? Stay with us for more on Versus.
IZOD IndyCar qualifying on Versus is presented by Peak Performance Products. When you peak, you win. And by IZOD, the official apparel sponsor of the IZOD IndyCar Series, available at Macy's.
We're in the wine country of Northern California, about 50 miles north of San Francisco in Finian Raceway, and this last road course race of 2010. And each time we have gone to a road course, we ask a driver to blindfold themselves and to draw the course. And this time that honor goes to Tony Kanaan. So we'll see how he can draw exactly what he experiences out there. My goodness, he's going awfully quickly here. And it's okay, but it's certainly not drawn to scale, huh? He's a little quick here. What? took him about 25 seconds to draw that.
He's pretty happy with it, isn't he?
I didn't see. Look, if you guys look at it and you move my map out, it's just a downsize. It is. Look. So look. This. Look. It's perfect. It's perfect. Guys, that's the beauty of downsizing. So if you guys don't know how to do that at home, just talk to me about it, because this track is too big anyway. So I made it a little smaller. So I sucked. So we'll sign.
He's taking longer to draw the smiley face than he did to draw the racetrack. Way to go, TK. Well, we figured that it took him somewhere around 22 seconds to draw the map. Now, if we were to go on board with him and take a 22-second lap, this is how quickly it would go.
And in his mind, this is how fast he wants to go. This is definitely some fast-forward driving.
Yeah, just scale it down, right?
Up through the S's.
Yeah.
And he's on the pole. That's a new track record.
We're always a little bit faster in our minds than we are actually on the racetrack. But so round 2 is underway. Let's get reports, however, from our pit reporters. First going to Lindy Thaxton.
Well, Justin Wilson, he advanced to round 2 on his final lap of round 1. He tested here last week, and besides obviously wanting to come into race weekend with a good baseline on the car, remember at qualifying at Mid-Ohio, he had a little incident with Ryan Briscoe, and he hurt his thumb pretty bad. So at the test, he wanted to figure out how he could drive comfortably with that. He tried a brace. It just was not working well with how he needed to drive. So today he has it all taped up. He says it is affecting him, not too much, but it is affecting his driving style a little bit. And Robbie, his best start here at Infineon, 7th in 2008.
I want to talk about a guy who's never been here to Infineon Raceway, and that's Alex Tagliani. May have surprised a lot of people to see him into the top 12, especially after qualifying positions of 19th, 19th, 14th in this last home stretch of road courses, and the best being a 9th place at Toronto in qualifying. He'd never been here before, and they've taken a different attitude. They said, you know, throughout the year they've been trying to qualify using data that maybe they've got at Barber, and tried using it here at the next race. It hasn't been working, so they had a big powwow at Mid-Ohio where he finished 4th and said, guys, we got to get together. We're going to start with a clean slate, just like we did when we qualified 2nd in Brazil. We're going to start with a clean slate, try and make the car faster, and he's been in the top 5 in practicing all weekend.
And although Tagliani was 4th fastest in Group 2, he is 6th fastest among the drivers advancing to the 2nd round. On board with Simona Di Silvestro.
I think, you know, we've seen Simona just be brilliant the last 2 weekends in qualifying, and talking with her, part of what it is as a driver, your learning curve, everything is when you put sticker tires on, sticker fresh Firestone tires on, whether it's the alternate reds that she's on right now or the blacks, there is a happy window when those tires have the most grip. And you as a driver have to learn to manage your timing to really get the most out of them in that window. And if you make a mistake in there, you've missed that opportunity. So that's part of the learning curve, and she's figuring it out.
Well, guys, we saw the Stargate Worlds car in the bottom 3 in the both practices so far. And I know off air we talked about maybe she was sandbagging a little bit, holding back. I went to Michael Kennedy. I said, were you holding back? He said, no, Robbie. He said, we flipped the switch from stupid to smart. So, Robbie Yon, if you can show me where that switch is, you know, please let me know soon.
Well, that is an important switch, though, isn't it?
Yes, and Michael Kennedy.
I don't know what to say.
Yeah, that's not the driver's switch. He's, you know, Michael Cannon, of course, is in charge of the engineering on this car, and he's talking collectively as a team. When you're going a direction that's just not working, you need to flip that switch and go with a different setup. Obviously, that's working now.
All right, we switch to Will Power now and go on board with him down through turn number 6 onto the drag strip. On the drag strip, that's a short time down to turn number 7. He currently is P1. And more on Will Power from Jack Arud in the IZOD Performance Pit Center.
Bob, you guys were mentioning the fact that Will Power struggled a little bit in the early practice session. I talked to the team and to Will about it, and he said, the problem was I couldn't get a clean lap. You know how critical it is when you're trying to figure out what you want to do. You've got to find a place where you can race free, as I like to say. Not boring free, race free. Will Power couldn't find it, so they had to take their segment times, kind of plaster them together to see if they were on the right track for qualifying. So far, I think they've been pretty successful.
Looking at Alex Tagliani now, who is currently 5th. Now, the timing line here is between turns 9 and 10. Tomorrow, for the start of the race, it'll be over on the front stretch out of turn number 12. But Alex is coming up right now to the timing line. There are the cones that he crosses right there. That's the timing line.
And why they put that timeline back there is so there's the entrance to the pits right there. If you wanted to go straight. So what it does is this 15-minute segment, it lets the drivers lay down a lap, post a time, and then come right into the pits. If you had to win by start-finish line, which is right there that Alex just went by, you'd have to do a whole lap back around. So it just is making it more efficient for the drivers in terms of posting the laps.
Tagliani just dropped out of the top 6. Tony Kanaan got in. It's Power, Franchitti, Dixon, Ryan Hunter, Ray Wilson, and Tony Kanaan right now the top 6.
You know, it was interesting what Jack was just saying about Will Power and how they went back and they took all the different segments of the racetrack to say, oh, you're fast. Dario, the man that you said is the guy to beat. I think you said that, didn't you?
I did. Yeah. I think he may have something for Will Power and qualifying.
But what you do when you go back and take all those segments and you say, Will, if we put all these segments together, you're really fast. So it's part of managing the driver's mental state, saying, no, you're good. You know, we'll get you a clean lap, and you've tied together. Look at what you can do.
Franchitti with just 1 pole this year. That was at the opening race in Brazil. 2 victories, 1 at Indianapolis and 1 at Mid-Ohio, and he comes into the pit area. Less than 9.5 minutes to go. Once again on board with Simona. She is currently P12.
Now remember, she used both sets of alternates to get through the first group, so you're never going to be as racy in the next one. But it's still a great gamble to take, Robbie, to make sure you transfer at least out of that first round.
And every track surface is different in terms of the way it affects the Firestone tires. And everybody says here, after you've been out and cycled through the tires, look at that narrow pit lane. Walls on both sides.
And so with about 8.5 minutes to go, everybody's on pit lane. But we have a lot more action in round number 2 that we'll bring you live from Infineon Raceway and peak pole qualifying here on Versus.
Welcome back to Infineon Raceway here in wine country in Northern California. I'm down here on the IZOD Performance Pit, and I'm joined by Al Spire. And Al, I want to talk, we've been talking a little bit about this new alternate tire that you've brought and the gap and the way it seems to be really making this qualifying session different. What prompted you guys to make such a big change?
Well, Jack, Infineon is the slowest of the road courses we race on. Nothing against Infineon. It's just the way the track is. It's very technical. So we thought this was a perfect opportunity to try the softest Firestone Firehawks we had in our lineup. That's just exactly what we've done, and we've seen some pretty big gaps here today.
Here's what concerns me, though, and I've always been amazed. A company like yours that does that, you're laying your reputation on the line because you know the potential is if they are super soft and the teams abuse them, they're not going to take the blame themselves. They're going to say, well, I had a bad set of tires. Why do you guys do that?
Well, we're trying to help the racing, and we're trying to make it more exciting for the fans, which is what's really important, Jack. I think this community knows we've got a great reputation with our tires. We can make just about anything they want. And yes, the drivers still can abuse the tires, but we're willing to do it for the betterment of the sport overall.
Well, as Robbie Buell likes to say, we like to call them Firestone Firehawks.
Yeah,
thanks,
we
Al.
do too. They're a big part of the show today. I think the real question now is they're definitely quicker in qualifying. How are they going to hold up in the race tomorrow?
Well, we'll have to be back there and tune in tomorrow. Let's go back upstairs, guys.
All that will unfold tomorrow as we now watch Elio Castroneves, who is P1. Just went there. Will Power knocked down to position number 2. On the outside looking in, Ryan Hunter-Ray, Tony Kanaan, Briscoe, Tagliani, Weldon, and Simona.
Elio has matched his time that he had in the first round of qualifying. So he hasn't gone faster, but I think, you know, if you're going to want to own that front row as we get going here and into the Fast 6, it's gonna be faster.
And you still are thinking transferring, though. It's hard in the early groups not to think, you know, you're going to lay down the fastest lap of the weekend. It's about what do I need just simply to transfer.
Exactly. Managing your driver. Okay, don't give me everything you have now. Just give me enough to get to the transfer, and then save that a little extra when you need it.
J.R. Hildebrand is in his second race this weekend for Dreyer Reinbold Racing, and we're just a few miles from where he grew up, Robbie Floyd.
Exactly right, Bob, and he was up there in practice. What kept you from getting into that top 12 after having so many laps here? What was it? Was it the car, the tires, what?
We didn't really get as much out of the reds as we needed to. You know, we were looking good in practice, like you said, and then we went out on the first run on the blacks, and we're kind of, you know, P5 or something like that. Everybody put the set of sticker reds on. We went out, and I didn't get enough out of them. We were quicker in all the fast parts of the track, but didn't really gain much in the braking zones.
Had to be a shock to you. You probably turned more laps out here than anybody. You said you were in 5 different classes at this track and even taught school here as well.
Yeah, I got some seat time around here, so there's not too many excuses. But you know, I can rest assured that these guys have been out here in the IndyCars before, so you know, it's not too bad.
Qualifying's one thing. Races tomorrow. Good luck.
Thanks, man.
J.R. Hildebrand, a nice young man.
And great feedback. And what happened there is this is his time of putting on the Firestone Reds, and he just didn't know how to get the most out of them. You know, he can go out and run and do laps and be fast, but when you got that small window and it's time to lay it down, he's learning.
Ryan Briscoe jumps to P3, so it's Castroneves, Power, and Briscoe. That sounds a lot like Team Penske, doesn't it?
It does, yes. 1, 2, 3, and then you've got Andretti in Ryan Hunter-Ray. And then the 2, which is kind of surprising, Scott Dixon and Dario Franchitti are in transfer spots, but just
about 2.5 minutes to go in round number 2. Then we move to the Firestone Fast 6 to determine the starting positions of the top 3 rows in tomorrow's Indy Grand Prix of Sonoma. Watkins Glen on July 4th was the last time that Team Penske started first, second, and third.
Pretty big talent pool right there, isn't it, guys?
Yeah.
Wow.
what we want to know then, follow up on our point, Robbie, when you say manage your driver, is Scott Dixon and Dario Franchitti, have they perfectly managed? Oh, no, because Dario Franchitti just got bumped out by one Justin Wilson, who went all the way up to second spot.
Yep.
Like to see that from Justin.
So right in mid-sentence, the managing of the drivers was maybe not quite quite enough.
Dario's got less than 2 minutes to stick it back into this Firestone Fast 6.
And here he's a guy I thought would be an absolute contender for the pole, so he's got to get with it.
Justin Wilson, obviously his right thumb isn't bothering him too much for laying down a fast lap.
Tagliani moves to P2. Dixon and Franchitti are both on the outside looking in.
Well, hang on, because he's just about to hit the line, and it looks like he's going to get himself back to third, judging by the splits.
Second,
even better.
Dario moves to P2. Ryan Hunter-Ray knocked out. Dixon is not in.
But he's close to crossing the line. Here he comes. He's got splits to get him in.
And he grows to fourth. Will Power now is not in the top 6.
Whoa.
Wow.
What a shift.
How quick that just shuffles around. You know, Justin Wilson sitting in P6, he was right up, you know, towards the top, and you thought he was safe. He's not safe.
Hey, guys, you may notice that the guy that is on the outside looking in is Will Power now. Now, Power put on a second set of Firestone alternates, and as you know, Jan, I like to call it, tootled around. Just got a little heat in him, did not abuse them at all. He came down pit road when they saw all of this being put in contest. They waved him back out. He's got to make hay now to get into that Firestone Fast 6. He's got some new Dr. Feelgoods to try and do it.
And, Jack, there's only 13 seconds remaining. Now, he is on a hot lap now. You saw him go by the timing line, but this is it. If he doesn't do it on this lap, he's out.
Yeah, any mistake here, he's not in.
He timed it perfectly to get another lap just before the checkered came out. The checkered is out. The session is over, but if you can complete your lap.
Jan, you got a split for us as we're riding on board with Power as they going through 6, the carousel. Now as a driver, you're just saying, Power, I want to get back to full throttle. There it is.
Yeah, he doesn't have it yet, but Will Power traditionally has a way of closing laps, always on his splits. He tends to ease into it. He knows he can't make a mistake, and he'll be watching. He'll have a data point on his dash, and he's gradually closing in on it. At the moment, his splits are not good enough.
Wow.
But he has a way in the final couple corners of pulling it off.
Well, this is the final corner, and this is where we've seen him lock up that right front. Does he get through? He's good there.
It's going to be close.
Let's see if Will Power can get into the Fast 6. Yes, he went to P4. Justin Wilson is knocked out.
Oh, my gosh.
How about that? So the possibility of him breaking the record for most poles in a season continues as he will join Castroneves, Franchitti, Tagliani, Dixon, and Briscoe in the Firestone Fast 6. Wow, there they are, advancing to the round number 3, the final one of the Firestone Fast 6. We will be back to see what happens. And Robbie Floyd talked with Dario a little bit earlier. We'll hear what he had to say when we return to Infineon Raceway, Sonoma, California. Dario Franchitti wins his 4th victory of the season.
You're the man. You are the man. You also got back points this weekend. Thank you. Thanks, boys. That was awesome. Great job, guys. Great pit stop.
This is crucial for the championship.
Welcome back to Infineon Raceway in Sonoma. What a nail-biter there at the end of round 2. Will Power barely making it in to the final round. Another man in there trying to get pole position, Dario Franchitti. He's already done it twice here before. Robbie Floyd had the chance to catch up with him earlier today, and he got a ride in his brand new interesting ride.
Anytime the defending IZOD IndyCar Series champ Dario Franchitti asks you if you want to ride with him down to the track, of course you take him up on it. Buddy, what the heck is this thing?
Morning, Robbie. It's a Target shopping cart.
I guess it is.
It's a way for Target to activate with the fans at the races, and we've got a huge weekend here. We've got like 350, 400 guests here from Target, and so we brought the shopping carts out. They've been going around the track all weekend, and yeah, kind of an interesting thing to drive, though. I'm hoping the Target race cars are a bit better handling than this thing.
Well, you know about the handling race cars on this track. Last year, it was a dominant performance, probably more than we've seen the entire series last year. I mean, so from start to finish, you had that thing dialed in. How's the car so far heading in this weekend?
Yeah, the car's not too bad. You know, quickest in first practice, but it's going to be really tight. One of the things we're just seeing is how close the competition is now. So one small mistake or one small mistake by me or by the setup, and we could be in some trouble. So we've got to really focus on just getting the job done, doing our best, and we'll see what happens.
What's the key to victory here, though, as far as I was looking at different lines maybe you were running than other drivers? Is it a line thing as well, picking up those 10s?
Yeah, there's definitely some different lines around here. I was following some guys yesterday and learned a couple of things from them. But, qualifying is definitely key here.
What's your key to success in this place? You've been here, 4 times with a win, a couple of poles. What do you think it is? What's the one thing, if you could label this track? We know it's physical.
Yeah, it's very physical. It's very easy to make a mistake. But again, if you can start up front, it makes your day a lot easier. Doesn't mean you're going to win, but it's certainly easier to win it from up front.
Well, it looks like we finally arrived to our destination. That's what the Tom-Tom said, at least. Thanks for the ride today. Good luck in qualifying.
Thanks, brother. Thanks, Dario.
And Dario coming up in the Fast 6. We're going to have him on stage with me tomorrow during the pre-race show. And here's a couple other things you can look for in that show. First of all, can you believe it's been a year since Will Power had that horrific crash here coming over the blind hill, hitting Nelson Philippe? We're going to have a piece on his recovery and his return to Sonoma, and also a day with Ryan Hunter-Reay at Holman, Florida. It's a nice chance for you to get a look at a driver away from the track. But that's all tomorrow in our pre-race. The Firestone Fast Six coming up, a battle between Will Power and Dario Franchitti. Last year, Dario starting first and finishing first. Will Power's not going to make this Fast Six very easy for him. You can bet on that. That's coming up right after the break. And how about that ride with Dario Franchitti in that Target car? And attention, Target guests, Robbie Floyd now available in aisle 6. He's on clearance. Will somebody please take that guy? We'll see you after the break. Stick with us.
Here are the drivers in the Firestone Fast Six. Ryan Briscoe was 6th. 5th fastest, Scott Dixon. 4th was Will Power. 3rd quick going in, Alex Tagliani. 2nd fastest was Dario Franchitti. And the fastest in the last round, Elio Castro-Neves. Now let's take a look at those who have appeared in the Firestone Fast Six. Elio Castro-Neves was 7, Will Power with 8, Scott Dixon, Dario Franchitti, and Justin Wilson have been in the Firestone Fast Six 5 times, and Ryan Hunter-Reay has been in 4 times. We are just about to go with round number 3 and determine the starting lineup in the first 3 rows. First, here's Jack.
Bob, we've all been watching kind of with hearts beating a little bit harder than normal. Will Power trying to win yet another peak pole position. He's made it to the Firestone Fast Six, but over my shoulder you'll see his fuel rig. Now, Penske people have basically a little smaller system that they can use during qualifying to add a precise amount of fuel. During that last session, they discovered when they looked at the telemetry that the problem was they weren't getting enough fuel in the car. Although at speed, it creates the right fuel pressure. Right now, where they are really messed up, Robbie Floyd, how much fuel to put on the car to go the distance in this Firestone Fast Six?
Well, Jack, this lady's not messed up. Simona de Silvestro, almost your 3rd top 10 in qualifying. But you look at the practices, you were in the bottom 3. Why the big change?
Yeah, you know, we were pretty lost out there this morning and even yesterday. And I think we're just working in the wrong direction. Finally, we kind of found the direction we wanted to. I think we putting 2 sets of red tires because we were so lost this morning kind of handicapped us to go a little bit quicker. But, you know, I think we can be really happy. For sure, you know, 11th is much better than 22nd. And I think the race is going to be good. You know, the race car is pretty consistent now. So I'm sure we're going to do a couple more changes for tomorrow morning, but we should be all right.
How much more difficult was it for you being a rookie here, your first time to the track and having to deal with all this?
It is, you know, it's like a roller coaster out there and you can't really see where you're going, and we only had 2 hours of practice and most of the drivers here have been driving here for a while, so it took me a little while, and also, you know, setting up the car how I wanted to, it took us a little bit of time, but the track is really fun. You know, I really enjoy it, and I'm sure the race is going to be awesome, and it's just a fun place to be here. You know, I kept watching it on TV, and to be part of it this year is cool.
Another top 12 starting in 11th. Thanks, Simona.
And we'll watch Simona and everybody else in the Indy Grand Prix of Sonoma tomorrow afternoon at 5 o'clock Eastern here on Versus as we wrap up the road courses for 2010 and look forward to the closing of the season on the 4 ovals. It's a great racetrack, and you'll want to be with us at 5 o'clock Eastern tomorrow. Will Power is on the racetrack, and by the way, the record that Will is going for today, his 8th pole in a season, would be a record for the IZOD IndyCar season. The all-time record with 10 poles in a season came in 1965, and that was accomplished by
Anthony Foyt.
Very good. All right, let's see if Will can do it here. Power started 5th in Brazil, 1st in St. Pete, 1st at Barber, 1st at Long Beach, 1st at Watkins Glen, 2nd at Toronto, 1st at Edmonton, and 1st at Mid-Ohio.
And when you say some of those firsts, he didn't just do it by thousandths. There's a couple of those where he was clear by 5/10 and 4/10 to the 2nd place guy. So
yeah.
pretty stout deal.
Incredible year.
Yeah.
All right, the clock has started.
So in that last lap that got him into the Firestone Fast Six, you think they learned a little bit more about the car, that he's gotten back with Dave Faustino and tweaked it for what he can do now?
I just get a sense that this weekend I mean, he may get another pole position, but I don't think, Robbie, it's going to be one of those examples you just gave. He hasn't had a dominating weekend, and in fact, he may be vulnerable, which is going to make this final Firestone Fast 6 a good one, I think.
Yeah, and the times that he has been a half-second clear of the field, he's done it through each practice session leading up to qualifying, and we haven't seen that. He's working the wheel in there, guys.
Oh, yeah.
Up through the S's.
Guys, keep in mind, we talked about the sweet spot on these tires. All he had was one hot lap on those Firestone alternates. Everybody else that's out there on the used alternates, they had to put in a few more laps. They may have expired the sweet spot. So let's see what this time is in these first couple of laps. Then he will be equal with everybody else.
You know, we heard Al Spire talking with Jack, and he said that this is a slow racetrack. Well, this is just the design of it. You know, top speed there is close to 160+ miles an hour, but you are working your butt off in this race car. This elevation climbing and the G-loads up through turn 1 there, you're going to go up 14 stories from the front straightaway all the way up here to the top of turn 3 down into 4.
That's what's always fascinated me about this racetrack. Is sometimes you don't get the perspective on TV, but that climb from the front stretch up to turn 3 is a major one.
Yeah, I don't want.
He's wide. He's wide. There goes that lap, and that was the sweet spot that Jack was talking about. That's the lap you wanted it, and he overcooked the carousel.
Wow.
And that's a place, Robbie, where it gets light. As you know, it gets light where you turn in. And if you don't really get it planted before it settles, all of a sudden you're riding the rim around the outside.
Yeah, but you can't be too cautious getting into the corner. You can't give up that speed, or you're not going to post a time to be on the front row.
So it gets light here. He wants it to get down, and he has that bit of a wiggle, and now he's hanging on.
Yeah, so he's just carrying a lot of speed in there, and the rear just moved a little bit on him. When that happens, you got to dump the throttle and chase the car up the track.
Well, he's still P1 with Castro, Nevis, and Dixon also turning in times in this session as Will heads for pit lane.
Interesting that both the Target Ganassi entries are staying on pit road. They're going to wait till the final. There we go. Dixon's going to go out after him.
Scott Dixon was fastest in practice. Has not won a pole yet, as we focus now in on Helio Castroneves. Pole sitter at Indianapolis. He won the pole here at Sonoma in 2008.
Obviously, the way this top 6, everybody's kind of approaching this, everybody didn't just rush out and get on the track and do laps. They all know that they just need to maximize the tires for one lap. And they only can do that. There's only a sweet spot for so little. So they're just trying to pick their place and time to do it. You can't just go out for this whole 10-minute session and think you're going to go faster and burn fuel off, because you're going to lose a little bit of grip in the tires.
Robbie, another subtlety that I'm noticing down here on pit road, you know, usually when they slap a new set of tires on, they like to light them up as they come out of their pit box. Everybody is coming out of their pit box like they're backing out of their garage very, very carefully. They don't want to use these tires up at all.
Helio has gone to P1. With only 3 of the 6 cars turning in a speed so far. And Helio comes back in.
So Dario Franchitti.
Here he comes.
Alex Tagliani
coming through.
And Briscoe just getting started.
Oh, we better get started. They got 5 minutes left.
Dario's a 2-time pole sitter here at Infineon Raceway. Won the pole in 2007, and he was on the pole for last year's race.
And his ability, you know, Dario is just so incredibly technical, and this is a technical racetrack. You just, you know, it's in with inches of where you want to put the car, and if you miss it by inches, that's the difference. And he puts the car right there, time and time again, to produce consistent fast lap times.
He just came over the hill at 3A where Will had his crash last year. They have put in a series of warning lights since last year to help the driver know about an accident if there is one at the crest of that hill. Through turn number 7. Up through the S's. He'll be turning in a speed and time here in just a moment.
This is considered his out lap. He has already crossed the line, so this is a hot lap, but I would think this would be the start now of the one where it would be the payday.
That lap moves him to P3.
Still a pretty, a minute 16.9, still a solid lap.
Oh,
but
yeah.
now, like you say, can he take a half second off that? We've really seen Dario drive this car hard today. We had some shots early in practice where he absolutely was going through the fast S's with incredible commitment and didn't back off the throttle and was just laying rubber down at 145 miles an hour with the rear of the car coming around.
Wow, what the speed he carried in there. He missed, but as a result, he missed the apex, similar to what we saw Power do.
Yeah, exact same place.
Hey, guys, let me interrupt you because I've caught up with Clive Howell very quickly, and Will Power has gone back out. Clive, what have you got left? I noticed you switched back to the other alternate tires, the used alternates.
Well, those tires had less laps on, less hard laps on them, so we're going to try and get another 1/10 or 2 here. You know, we just wanted to go on that first set and warm him up a little bit and get ready to go and see what happens.
All right, should we expect a bonsai run shortly?
I don't know. I mean, well, it's all pretty close. That top 12 was within 0.2 of a second, so it's all going to be really, really close. You know. We'll see. We've got 2 laps right there.
On board with Will now. He's P2. Franchitti ended up P3 on that lap.
Well, if anybody has the ability to flip a light switch, it's this guy right here, Will Power, to lay down a lap. You know, he can go to that level, and when it's time to put down a lap, he is brilliant.
And right here's where he had trouble last time. The car gets light, and then you got to get back to the power.
Yeah, right now you're thinking power, power, power.
A little bit wide, but certainly carried lots of speed.
Hard braking here into turn 7.
Yep. And now you should be flat on the gas, up through the gears, through these switchback S's, flat out. You're coming off those at about 145 right there, up to 160 plus.
He's within a 10th.
Turn 9, where a lot of drivers have had problems today. And now crossing line.
Hey,
how about that?
How about it, guys?
He has that ability. He has that ability to close those laps. He has those splits. It looks like he's going to be on the fence, and then he just closes it so effective.
Yeah, I mean, it gives me the goosebumps. I mean, just that ability to just ring that. Oh, as you're riding board, he just got crossed up as he went across turn 2 up there.
Down to Lindy with Chip Ganassi.
Chip, not an easy round for Dario. What do you think he's got for the other people he's up against?
I don't know. We'll find out here. This is going to be our last lap. I mean, those guys are pretty stout here in qualifying, but tomorrow's another day. That's why they have a race.
Yeah, you're right. And how have the tires been going for him?
Yeah, I mean, you know, everybody's pretty much burned down their reds that they have. So all the guys doing a great job driving what they're handling with today with these the reds the way they are. So my hat's off to all of them.
Chip, thank you. Bob, we'll see what happens.
Another guy that's having a good year is Chip Ganassi as a car owner with NASCAR and the IZOD IndyCar Series.
And what Chip was talking about is why everybody's got their hands full is, again, when these are sticker reds and they're brand new, they're really happy. But everybody's used the sticker part to get to this zone. So right now, the guys are working extra hard in these race cars to lay down laps because the tires are not in their optimum window when they're new.
Will Power is 3/100ths of a second off of the track record as he comes in. And the checkered flag will be out in a matter of seconds. It's Power, Castroneves, Franchitti, Tagliani, Briscoe, and Dixon. As the checkered flag has come out.
And Power barely made it into the top 6, and look where he's sitting right now.
Yep. All right, we'll focus in on Elio. How's he doing, Jan?
Well, he's 2/10 down here. He has a very very wide on the approach. I mean, he's definitely given everything he's got.
And you can see the rear of the car step out a little bit too as he's trying to go to Power. Tag's coming at the line right there.
Oh, he lost a lot. did Castroneves. When we saw him go wide there, the next split he had, that definitely lost a lot of time swinging wide up there in turn 7.
And here comes the last car through. So will there be any changes in the top 6? No, there will not. And Will Power sets a record for pole positions in a season in the IZOD IndyCar season. Power wins the pole at Infineon Raceway. Welcome back to Infineon Raceway, Sonoma, California. The Peak Pole Award winner is Will Power. Here's Robbie.
And how about it? 8 times in 13 races. And it was so close that first round. Were you guessing whether you could do it or not on that last lap?
I wasn't sure I was going to pull that off in the second round. I was 2/10 down, so I just pushed like I've never pushed before. And yeah, I mean, I knew it was going to be very close for pole here. Really stoked to get the Verizon a record 8 poles this year. So you know, it's important where you start here, and that's great for us.
8 poles in 13 races. It show you how tight the field is, knowing that Justin Wilson was in that spot, and maybe he could have taken this pole today.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, man, this is the toughest series I've ever raced in. I mean, it is just so tight now, and you cannot leave anything on the table if you want to be at the front.
Well, it's going to be a tough race tomorrow. Dario Franchitti won it from start to finish last year, taking home $10,000. Will Power for the 8th time this year. Another Peak Performance Pole Award. Lindy Thaxton, smiling Will Power.
Dario, let me ask you this. Is this a case where, you know, maybe your car's not exactly where you want it, or is it a case where the field out there is just so tight that that's the way this goes?
No, we're reasonably happy with the target car. We're just missing a little bit of speed with it today. And it's about tying those laps together. And, you know, I probably made one small mistake in each of my laps, but very slight. I'm talking like half a tenth maybe. So, yeah, we're a little disappointed there.
Well, one thing we saw for sure in Mid-Ohio, you've got a pretty fast crew here.
Yeah, you know, we've all got to do our jobs, and the guys did a great job at Mid-Ohio. I got it in the box, and out of the box I think was as important, but this pit stop was phenomenal. So, as Chip said, that's why we have a race tomorrow. So, you know, the target boys will do a good job, and I'll be giving it everything.
All right, Dario, see you then.
Thank you.
And Bob, these guys tested here last week, so that can't hurt.
Yep. Dario starts 3rd. Will Power wins his 10th career pole in the IZOD IndyCar Series. 8th pole this year, 7 on road courses. He also won the pole on the oval at Iowa.
Extremely physical. I've gone into some races where after the 3rd or 4th lap, I'm like, we have how many laps to go?
IZOD IndyCar qualifying on Versus is presented by Peak Performance Products. When you peak, you win.
Peak Pole Award winner here at Infineon, Will Power, coming back from that devastating crash last year here at this facility. You'll want to be with us for the pre-race show tomorrow. We have a feature on Will Power, and here is a preview.
I remember thinking as I slid to a stop, that's the end of my career. I remember thinking that, well, that's done. And I was in so much pain, I thought, I don't care. I don't ever want to drive one of these again. I was hurting so bad. Excruciating pain like I've never felt.
It's no longer your driver, it's no longer competition. At that point in time, it becomes human.
I hit him so hard. Man, I hope I didn't kill him.
That in our pre-race show tomorrow here at Infineon Raceway. You'll want to be with us. Most poles in a season, Elio Castroneves had the record until today. That was 7 in 2007. Dixon won 6 in 08. All right, here is the way they will line up for the race tomorrow, the Indy Grand Prix of Sonoma. Rafael Matos equals his best start this season, 10th. He also started 10th at Edmonton. Here is the second 10. Simona Di Silvestro with a great run. So did Bertrand Baguette, who will start in 13th position. And now the rest of the starting lineup: Mira, Lloyd, Patrick, Duno, and Draconi. So we look forward to tomorrow's race here as Will Power continues to celebrate his winning of the pole position for tomorrow's race. Well, coming up next, PBR Encore. Be sure to tune in tomorrow for the IndyCar Grand Prix of Sonoma at 5 o'clock Eastern. For more information on the IZOD IndyCar Series, go to Versus.com. Congratulations to Will Power, who won the pole today. For Jan Beekes, Robbie Buell, Jack Arute, Robbie Floyd, and Lindy Thaxton, I'm Bob Jenkins. We'll see you tomorrow at 5 o'clock Eastern.